Hey everyone, I hope everyone's doing all right. I wanted to start off our presentation and go through talking about Annex E as it relates to AI impact assessments and how that ties back into what's being shown in 2005. A really quick introduction. I'm Jay Slam. I'm one of the ISO practice directors here at Shelby Compliance, currently based in Austin, where my role is really overseeing the ISO practice from as it relates to projects as well as leadership and just expanding the practice domestically as well as globally. So from there, wanted to go into talking about a high overview of Annex E. I know that as part of this series, we've kind of gone to a greater detail of what is the purpose of 42005 and how it ties back to uh, AI impact assessments and and how we can utilize each annex to really help support organizations that are currently looking to establish this process and really kind of provide an illustrative example of what it could look like. So a high overview and a quick uh, reminder as this Annex E is informative. So it's not a normative standard where it has to be a requirement, but essentially Annex E really provides and paints an illustrative picture of what an AI impact assessment could look, as well as the considerations that organizations need to really think about, as well as document, and allow their reviewers to really get an understanding of the whole AI system that is being utilized, as well as the possible uses, misuses, and any impacts to specific groups, individuals, and societies. What's great about Annex E is that this ties directly to the subclauses in Clause 6 of 42,005. So before we actually go into illustrative examples of what's being shown in Annex E, I just wanted to kind of just hit on some of the key topics that get discussed, and as mentioned before, ties back to Clause 6 of 2005. So the examples will include general information of the AI system, as well as any dependencies, and go into some details as it relates to capabilities, being able to kind of go through what is the purpose of the system, as well as formally documenting the use and misuse of those or unintended uses of the AI system, as well as being able to include information as it relates to the data sets being utilized by the system, as well as any type of detailed information related to the quality processes. And lastly, being able to include information related to the algorithms and models being utilized by the system, as well as including information related to the deployment environment, the relevant interested parties that may be impacted, through the use of the failure of the AI system, as well as misuse, uh, as well as foreseeable benefits and harms. So these next couple slides are actually pulled directly from Annex E of the 42,005 standard. So the way that the standard or the way that Annex E is broken down is that it starts off with just laying out general information of the AI system. And this example shows how a basic description on the left-hand side, how an AI system can be written, and it allows users to describe what an AI system does from a high level and how it works. And that description could also include the type of capabilities that the AI system utilizes, and gives potential readers enough context to understand how the system and the environment in which it operates in, as well as possible other details, concluding, system architecture, technical requirements and specifications, and possible information related to proof of concepts. Um, on Still staying on the left-hand side, we also want to be able to document any specific AI system functionalities and capabilities. So for this section, documentation of the AI system features should be a little bit more specific and include a more detailed description of the functionalities and capabilities, which could include various predictions, the types of data, algorithms, and the models used by the AI system. As well as, the current status, whether these functionalities or capabilities are either current or they're planned. Although, the documentation here for these AI system functionalities and capabilities should be more specific and detailed. The organization just has to identify a healthy balance of detail and disclosure limits of those technical details, just to specific readers of the assessment, just to help reduce any possible misuse of the information. And other areas that can also be shown here from an illustrative and example purpose is how AI system functionalities and capability document and any additional documentation related to any type of dependencies of those systems for those capabilities. So for example, if an AI system was being documented and it relies on a specific model for another product or system, being able to identify that as part of this overall assessment shown in this example template would be beneficial. And you'll notice that a lot of this information in these examples for the left-hand side is all interrelated, and it just allows for establishing, the general context of the AI system and documenting that allows the readers of this the assessment and why the organization is building or using the AI system and how the technology contributes to achieving those established objectives. And this also really, as we start to move into the right-hand side, it also allows us to formally identify intended uses and unintended uses of the AI system. And generally, unintended uses is generally viewed as misuse or quote unquote bad. But, as shown in the example here, with how you can document the unintended uses is it could actually allow organizations to possibly identify potentially beneficial use cases of the applications or the AI system for both the operator of the system or as well as those users. Now now within this template, it's now starting to go into more detail once we've established the context of going through this impact assessment, the overview of the system and the future capabilities. Now the template is showing how we can include some of the information, such as data that is being utilized by that system, as well as quality procedures. So on the left-hand side, or on both screens on the example from standard, is that the tables allow users to properly capture this information related to data sets and include specific characteristics or things to consider, such as the availability of data information, data acquisition processes, the amount of data needed for the AI system, as well as data provenance, as well as any possible known or reasonably foreseeable risks related to the unwanted bias within data. And also includes processes related to data quality as well as access controls. Going more into data quality documentation, the example shown in ISO 42005 Annex E allows for organizations to possibly consider and document additional data quality characteristics that apply to the context of how it's being used, such as data quality requirements and how they're being met or not met, as well as the use of data quality within the AI lifecycle during AI system development. Excuse me. Now, the example shown in Annex E is now going to how an illustrative example of how organizations could document the information related to the algorithms and models within their AI systems. And as shown within the example, a lot of key information can include the appropriateness of the selected algorithms related to any specific business objectives and the actual AI task itself, the origin of those algorithms and any type of modifications, the validity of the algorithm, as well as any possible examples of any real world use cases, as well as the performance and any, known legal, organizational, and technical requirements. Moving to the right-hand side for models, it's going into a lot more of that detail where it could include possible document information related to the type of data that's being used for training, validation, as well as testing purposes, and the algorithms utilized to develop those models and training those models. Um, Other examples shown within this example within table E13 also includes various an opportunity for organizations to document the metrics to evaluate the performance of their models, as well as any models that could create any type of unwanted bias or other harms, and include any other possible computational and environmental impacts and any type of legal and organizational technical considerations and requirements. As we continue through the example of 42,005 and Annex E, now we're going into talking about possible identification of relevant interested parties. So as shown in this example, um, while in the process of performing that impact assessment, this is kind of showing how an organization could really document and consider the specific impacts to various individuals and groups and societies, as well as possible roles relevant to the AI system and any other interested parties. And lastly, more importantly, once we've been able to kind of go through and identify those relevant interested parties, these next couple examples shows the benefits and impacts to those impacts to those groups related to those specific AI systems, and how those benefits and harms could be analyzed based on the identified interested parties as it relates to the various following objectives, such as accountability, fairness, reliability, and safety. Please note that what's being shown is not an exhaustive list, but it allows organizations to consider these common objectives as it relates to the risks related to the use of AI systems. And lastly, on the right hand side is that it also the Annex E is showing an illustrative example as it relates to how organizations can properly document and know any type of AI system failures, as well as misuse and possible impacts. And it just allows for the proper description on the left hand side of that table, as well as the possible impacts to those specific groups noted to those potential failures. So, and that really comes to the end of our presentation. And the one thing that we wanted to mention is that as it relates to AI impact assessments, it is expected at least one AI system impact assessment should be carried out, for each AI system. And, that requirement does get called out specifically with performing an impact assessment for, within 42,001. However, the organization can identify it to be necessary to carry out multiple system impact assessments based on the use and the role throughout in the current stage of where they are in the life cycle. And the example that we just went through really just shows just a standalone impact AI system impact assessment, but there is an opportunity for having that assessment be integrated into a integrated assessment approach. So just want to say thank you, and um, that really ends the presentation of going through Annex E of 42,005. So thank you, everyone.